Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Eddie. Thank you guys for stopping by. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time here, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel just to let me know that you stopped by to hang out with me. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, your participation, your engagement, and your support is always appreciated on my channel. So thanks again for stopping by. Now, if I haven't said this in the video already, I will say it right now. Gen Z is my favorite generation. I'm not a Gen Z. I'm actually a millennial. I've said this before in other videos. I'm 37 years old. So I'm a little bit of an older millennial, but I really feel like with some of the attitudes and some of the wokeness of the Gen Zs, I sometimes feel like I was born in the wrong generation, not gonna lie. I feel like I relate a lot to some of the things that Gen Zs do and say and feel, although I am a millennial and I identify more with the millennials, to be honest, but I do have some Gen Z traits. So Gen Z is like the woke crew for me. I love hearing some of their ideas. I love how um, passionate they are about the things that they care about. They're really out loud and in your face with what they support and what they don't support, and they stand 10 toes down on a lot of things. They don't take a lot of crap from people. They're very much like, I'm about me. I want my life to be about me. If I'm not passionate about it, if it doesn't resonate with me, like they use that word a lot, resonate. If it doesn't resonate with them, they're just not for it. They're not checking for it at all, and they will tell you to your face. I like Gen Z. They can be a little bit progressive in some ways that I don't really agree with. But for the most part, like I like Gen Z. I really do. But so lately, if you've been living under a rock, you may not know. But Gen Z has been loud in our faces lately about the fact they don't want kids. And they have some pretty legitimate reasons why. I think the economy is one of the biggest ones. So I want to get into some of this content because a lot of them are going to come on and explain exactly why they don't want kids. And a lot of the reasons aren't very selfish as a lot of people think. They make some good points. So we're going to get into the content. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and play these. And then afterwards, I'm going to give my commentary on it because you guys know I just love Gen Z. So I'm going to tell you guys what I think about some of the things that they're saying. I may agree with some of it. I may not. We'll see. So let's go ahead, sit back, relax, and let's get into the content.
Trying to have kids. And I don't blame them. Because I ain't trying to have them little shits either. But the government is shaking in their boots because we don't want children. Our grandparents and parents are shaking in their boots because we don't want children. They keep asking why. I'm going to tell you. Probably because we can't afford to. Y'all do know the cost of living went up 68%, but our wages only went up 18%. Y'all do know that, right? We don't even know if we're going to have a suitable earth to raise our kids in the next 40 years, and you want me to bring a child into this world. And I'm not saying all of Gen Z, because some of y'all took the risk. Me, personally, and the vast majority of the people I know, they're not even thinking about it. Not even trying to consider it. How are we going to have children if we can't even afford ourselves? I know people that's so backed up on student loans, they just don't want to pay for that shit no more. And since the government is getting so upset about it, my honest take is the government only wants us to have children so we can go back and ask the government for help. The help that they're not even going to give us. The help that they're going to claim that they don't have. But they had billions of dollars to fund the war in Israel, though. They had billions of dollars to bring migrants across country. But our healthcare system and our school system is still fucked. Gen Z is the most unhinged, most honest, most I don't give a fuck generation there is. So if you think Gen Z is gonna fall for we need to have kids to better our population, you're smoking! Because it's not happening. Everybody keep asking us what we gonna do when we get older. Who knows? Who knows if we're even gonna get older? I might just off myself before I even get that old, to be honest with you. And if I don't have kids, my money will take care of me. That's the least it can do. I hope it's going to be worth anything by the time I get that old. I actually hope it's just going to be earth by the time I get that old because, goddamn.
My Gen Z friends agree we won't be parents in a world like this. When you consider the economy, the job market, the rising cost of everything, and climate change, what about all of this is supposed to make Gen Z want to have kids? The New York Times is even predicting that the population is going to peak at 10 billion this century and then decline all the way to 2 billion rapidly. Gen Z not wanting to have kids is only a small piece of the puzzle that's going to lead to this massive population decline. Access to food is going to be a bigger and bigger problem every year. This article is from today about Iraq having lost 70% of its farmland. Here's another article from yesterday about how wineries in British Columbia are only producing 1 to 3% of their normal yield because of cold snaps directly caused by climate change. The cold snap also wiped out entire crops of other fruits such as peaches, plums, cherries, and nectarines. 8 to 10 different locations had 100% of their yield destroyed. And this ties right back into the headline from the start. Gen Z doesn't want to have kids because they see the writing on the wall. Gen Z can see that right now it's too expensive to have a kid, and in the future climate change is going to be wreaking havoc on the planet, including destroying the food supply that has supported population growth so far.
Younger millennials and Gen Z. Are we having kids?
No. Nope. No. I'm currently 27 years old. I'm supposed to be thinking about having a child within the next 5-6 years? No. I can't afford it. I can't afford myself. I can't afford a house. I cannot afford a child. Okay? Me and my fiance last week had a 2-hour conversation about the price of childcare. And we don't even have a kid. We don't even we're not even thinking about children, but we're thinking about the price of childcare. So my vote is no. I'm on the no side. Can we all come to a consensus on the no?
Lived life and had kids and said, I'm going to teach my kids how to navigate through life and how to avoid some of the mistakes that I made and give them the best resources that you possibly can. And then something happened with my generation to where we were just I've lived life, I experienced enough and made some mistakes and know what this world is about, and I'm just not gonna bring the kid here at all. How about we just don't do it? I'm trying to figure out what happened with my generation to just be F these kids, and mean that with your whole chest. And that's not to say you shouldn't have them or that we don't want them. It's realistically, not even being negative, being realistic. What is the point of bringing into the situation?
They're going to pass a bill stating that every woman's going to have at least one child to start populating the earth again. Sorry, I'm not interested, but thank you. But it's going to be required by law soon. No, I just moved into this new apartment and everything's really expensive, so... Well, the government will help you out just a little bit. But even if they do, I'm going to be missing Mimosa Monday, Tipsy Tuesday, Wasted Wednesday... What? Thirsty Thursday, Fucked Up Friday. You can't forget about the Lord's Day. You have to drink wine. So you can't stay sober for 9 months just to help the population? In this society that you created, absolutely not. But you're helping the whole entire planet. Okay, but what do I get out of it? What do you mean? So you're saying I'm required by law to have a kid and raise it for 18 years against my will. But you're helping the greater good. But my mental health will not be good. Is everything about you? Yes, so I will not be participating, but I'll be the cool aunt.
Now, obviously, the last one was a little bit of satire, but it's also a little bit of truth, right? Gen Z, they're like that. If it doesn't fit within their scope of what they want to do, they'll just be the cool aunt. If they gotta miss Wasted Wednesday, Mimosa Mondays, Fucked Up Friday, Gen Z cannot be bothered. They're not checking for it, period. And I'm sorry, I don't even blame them, because the thing is that I knew this was gonna come down to mostly finances, and it did. Pretty much everybody talked about at some point during their little video, money, the economy, grocery prices, it always comes down to money. And listen, I don't really care whether somebody has a kid or not. I've said this before in videos. I don't have kids, but I don't care if you have kids or you don't have kids. That's really up to you, right? It's a personal choice, but I do think money comes down to it a lot because you have to be able to afford the children. Like if you have kids and you can't afford it, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be so miserable. There's almost no point in doing it if you're already struggling, because a lot of Gen Zs are struggling who don't have kids. People think that if you don't have kids, that your life is just one big party. And I know that the last person was kind of like making satire and jokes about it. But just because you don't have kids, that does not mean that your life is one big party. A lot of Gen Zs are working 2 jobs and still can barely afford rent. So just because you don't have kids does not mean that you're well off financially or that you're better off than somebody else of like a younger cohort that does have kids, because Gen Z does have it pretty tough when it comes to wages versus what rents are. We've already talked about that in another video about rents. Like Gen Z has it really bad if they even have their own place. A lot of Gen Zs live with roommates or their parents still, and it's not even really due to any fault of their own. A lot of people label Gen Z as lazy. I don't, because I know a lot of Gen Zs and they're not lazy. They just don't get paid what we are thinking that they're getting paid. And a lot of older cohorts like the boomers and the Gen X's, they still fail to realize that although a lot of Gen Zs are making close to 6 figures sometimes, rent is $3,000 in the city, $4,000 in the city. So even if you're making 6 figures, if you're paying $4,000 or even $3,000 for rent, that's literally a lot of times half of their income right off the top. So let's just be real for 1 second about that. Now, everything's expensive, we know this, but when it comes to children specifically, I've talked about this in another video too. Child care across the board is expensive as I don't know what. $300 a week is a cheap child care facility. $400 and up is kind of mid-range. $400, let's just say you live in a decent area and you want your kid to go to a decent daycare, which I would hope that you would want that, because listen, this is what we're not going to do. We're not going to have kids and then pawn them off on just, whatever, the lowest of the low. If we're going to have kids, let's at least do it with the intention of giving them the best, right? Or even at least mid-range. Mid-range, $400 a week. Let's do some simple math. There's 4 weeks in a month. 4 times 4, $1,600. We already said rent was $3,000 on average in the city. $3,000, $1,600 a month for childcare. We're already $4,600 off the bat. We're not even talking about gas and groceries or utilities or insurance or anything even like that. We didn't even talk about that. We're just talking about bare minimum, $400 a week for childcare. I said what I said. What else we're talking about? The wages, inflation, right? We talked about that. If you're going to have kids, I'm hoping that you're probably working, right? Or somebody in the household needs to be working to afford any of this. Otherwise, we're living off the government. We already talked about that too. Not even going to get into it. And now, one of the other commenters talked about the state of affairs, and she was kind of alluding to the situation that we're in the U.S., which is a lot of uncertainty, right? How many school shootings have we had, right? Gun laws still really haven't changed. So safety is a big concern for me. I'll let you in on a little bit of like kind of personal struggles that happened to me. I do struggle with anxiety a lot. So for me, a lot of the reason why I don't have kids yet is because I struggle so much in the mental health department when it comes to my anxiety. Sometimes I just have anxiety because I have anxiety, right? Thinking about the fact that I have anxiety gives me more anxiety. Like that's just how my mind works. Unfortunately, I can't control that. Having kids, I feel, would really heighten that in a really unhealthy way. Although I do love children, I would fear for the safety of my children 24/7. Whether you have anxiety or not, you're going to always fear for your children's safety. Me personally, I just think that because I have such anxiety, it would take it to a whole different level, to the point where I would probably end up in a mental institution. And I just don't think that that's healthy for me or my own kids. I really don't. Just because I just fear so much about what goes on in the world, and you can't be with your kids 24/7, unfortunately, especially if you work. You can't protect your kids from everything. Nobody can. So, and that's a real fear of mine, is that something would happen to my children, and then I would just, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to go there. But I really do think that it's brave, like in 2025, that anybody is even having kids. Like I said, it's your own personal choice. But I give my hats off to anybody that does have kids in 2025 because you're up against so much. There's so much against you. Like I said, the cost of living, the cost of childcare, safety is such a major concern. Healthcare just in general in the US is just a joke. Like in other countries, like you get free healthcare, it's universal. We pay so much for healthcare and it covers so little that your out of pocket is just like astronomical between deductibles, between copays, between prescription medication. Even if you have it through your job, like sometimes your copays are still a lot. So, and that's not even talking about the premium they're taking from your paycheck. So everything is just so high. Like it's not a surprise to me that Gen Zs are kind of refusing to have kids. Now, obviously, there are some Gen Zs that are having kids. This is not a blanket statement, but what we're really saying is that compared to other generations prior, Gen Zs are not having kids in that same way. They're not having kids as early. They're not having kids as often. And some of them are just not doing it at all. And they've come out and just said, hey, I'm just not going to participate in it. Like the last lady said, I won't be engaging. I'll be the cool aunt. And I'm all about that. Cool aunt, cool uncle vibes, rich aunt, rich uncle vibes. I'm all about that. But that goes back into that kind of false stereotype that if you don't have kids, that you have money. That I don't know where that came from, but I don't have kids, nor do I have money. So that's out the window for me. Maybe some of you guys don't have kids and you guys have a lot of money. I don't know, but I don't. So kids or no kids, I'm broke regardless at this point. So let me know what you guys think. Why do you guys think that Gen Zs aren't having kids? Do you guys have any more reasons that you want to state? Are you a Gen Z watching this right now and you don't want to have kids? Put it down in the comment section. Why? What's your reason? Why are you not having kids? Is it finances? Is it healthcare? Is it childcare? Is it the wages that are not keeping up with inflation? Is it school safety? Like, what is it? What is your main reason that you're not having kids? I really want to know because some of those reasons might be my reasons, right? I told you about my anxiety. I think that can be taken care of, but like, I just don't. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to introduce new things that could potentially give me worse anxiety, right? It's already bad enough. So I try to not intentionally do things that will also give me more anxiety. So that's just me. But let me know what let me know down in the comments why, if you don't have kids, why are you not having kids? Do you think these reasons are BS? Do you think, Gen Zs are just selfish? I don't think they're just selfish. I think these are good reasons that they outline. I told you, Gen Zs, they back it up. They bring receipts. They do a lot of talking, but they will tell you the truth and they will back it up with receipts. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.